Welcome to On the Record. I'm the host, Patrick Crowley. I'm also the political writer for the Kentucky Inquirer, and I co-host Northern Kentucky Magazine here on ICN6 with Nancy James. Welcome to the Gridlock edition with, on my right, but on the left, Nathan Smith, former vice chairman of the Kentucky Democratic Party. He's trying to give away Bengal tickets. And Marcus Carey, on my left, but on the right, the former 4th District Republican Party chairman. He's a blogger, he's on the radio, he's a lawyer. Gentlemen, welcome. Let's get right to it. Got a lot to talk about. Trey Grayson. Both of you guys, he's the Republican runner for Senate, going on a fly around this weekend. Both of you think it's a bad idea. Even Marcus, who wrote that flying in the plane, this decision may have been intended to establish Grayson as having a kind of, quote, rock star image. He needs to plan how to cover his image of a silver-spooned Harvard boy, son of a banker, in a campaign for the U.S. Senate where votes for the common man have been hard to find lately. Marcus, you wrote this on your blog, bluegrassbulletin.com. You're not impressed with how Grayson has rolled out this campaign. You even thought it was a bad idea or it wasn't fair to the other candidates that he announced at his alma mater, Dixie High School.
Well, actually, Pat, what I think is that the Republican Party has suffered for a long time from this elitist image. And quite frankly, the mood of the country is that everybody's hurting, that we've got problems with unemployment, we've got problems with the economy. And they're looking for somebody they can trust to be a candidate of the common person, of the ordinary American family. And it's more about image. It's not about Trey. It's about image. It's about the decisions being made in his campaign early on and how they may come back to haunt him later. I'm sure that Nathan and his folks are probably at every one of these airports with a camera, and I suspect that somewhere down the road we're going to see campaign commercials of Trey Grayson coming out of a private airplane at airports all over Kentucky, and they're going to try to establish him as an elitist. And because he has a background that's not completely Kentucky Republican politics, and he has to try and redefine himself as a Republican to win a nominating election in May, I'm a little bit concerned that this was probably a bad decision.
Wait, just say one thing. He's a two-term Republican Secretary of State. He's been involved in the party for as long as I've been around, or at least several years. Rand Paul's never run for anything. How can you say, now, are you saying that's going to hurt him because he's part of the establishment? I can see that argument, but he has been involved in the party, and Rand Paul hasn't. And Rand Paul, of course, is a Republican running against Grayson.
Well, you know, I think that's one of the problems that most people have with with politics these days, is being involved with the party, being identified with the party line. I think people are looking for an independent voice. The mood of the country last year with the election of Barack Obama was clearly in favor of a change from the old partisan politics that this country's been used to. And I'm not sure that being associated as a party guy is what it's all about. Do I think he's going to have to establish himself as a Republican? Not with the inner circle of the Republican Party. He's done yeoman's duties. He's been a loyal Republican since he switched from being a Democrat. But since that time, all the work that he's done in the Republican Party now has aligned him with Mitch McConnell, who's identified as the mainstream of the Republican Party. I think this year, going into this primary, the Republicans have to be very careful how they portray themselves and their candidates to the people at large.
I'll give that.
Well, the only thing I want to start by is I hate to get in the middle of a family feud because I'm kind of loving all this junk. But the fact of the matter, I have to agree a little bit with Marcus on this. What I don't understand about it is announcing and spending the $10,000 that probably it takes to fly a private jet all over Kentucky and for 2 days. I mean, I kind of checked around and I thought, well, I wonder what it costs. And someone said about $5,000 plus a day.
I don't think it's a jet, though. I think it's a prop.
Well, or a prop. I mean, in Kentucky, most people in Hopkinsville probably haven't been on a private jet in their whole life, so I don't know if taking one into town is a great idea. But that's for them to fight over. But the fact of the matter is, what I see is this is a situation of, you know, you could have gotten a Buick and driven this in 3 days and probably saved probably $4,800 and had $200 in gas. So, I mean, for me, I look at it as, you know, a campaign's about saving money for running the commercial on YMT, Mountain Television, and Hazard the last 10 days. He may wish he had that $10,000 back. But, you know, I don't know that situation. But, you know, I'm welcome for him to do whatever he wants to do.
I don't believe I'm hearing this from you two. Your governor, Steve Beshear, and Jerry Abramson just came here about a month ago in a private plane. As they went around introducing Abramson, your guy, well, some of your guys, Mitch McConnell, he takes a plane every time he does a campaign. It's kind of standard operating procedure. This is a big state, wait a minute, and he gets newspaper coverage in every one of those places he goes. I think it's a good use of money.
You could get it in the Buick. I mean, it doesn't help having that image of coming out of a plane. But what I'm saying about and Steve Beshear and Mitch McConnell, they're looking politician. I'm saying this is a primary. We just said on the show 2 months ago, that I said one of the issues with the Republican Party is they might want to look more libertarian instead of more right-wing or more country. country club in this kind of economic environment. And here you go,
that's a good
right
point.
off the
Right.
bat, you're having a situation where, and I could care less about that. I'm more about the money being spent. The image is one different thing. But then I think followed right up by that with coming out and saying he's having a fundraiser with 25 senators in Washington, D.C., just makes him look more Washington, D.C. And I don't think if you go down the streets of Heinemann and say to people, hey, what do you think about those Washington, D.C. politicians? You don't have to say Democrat and Republican. You just say, and they just say, oh, man, I've had enough of that bunch up there. You know, and I just don't understand why you would want to couple that with a plane ride. I mean, it doesn't matter to me. I mean, spend the money.
You think that hurts him raising money with Mitch McConnell and John Cornyn and other Republicans, not Jim Bunning, let's point out?
Well, I mean, I think that there are a couple of things that it's going to hurt him with. First of all, it's going to be the loyal Bunning supporters, because it's pretty clear that Jim Bunning has so much as said that Mitch McConnell had something to do with him being unable to raise money.
Right.
And there was always this suspicion that Trey Grayson and Mitch McConnell were aligned to try and get Jim Bunning to leave the race. Now that Senator Bunning is no longer in the race, right away Mitch McConnell is raising money for Trey Grayson in Washington, D.C. At least with the Bunning supporters, I think that might hurt Trey a little bit.
All right, let's take a break, come back, finish this discussion. We're Gridlock, Nathan Smith, Marcus Carriout, Pat Crowley. We'll be right back.